What is up guys, it's your boy I'm here, back with another Palworld video. Now today we're talking about the endgame of Palworld, which if you played Palworld a little bit, you probably know this, but the endgame of Palworld is a lot about breeding and trying to get the perfect pal through breeding, and once you have the perfect pal, you want to get more of the same perfect pal as well, which you once again get through breeding. Breeding is basically a way to copy both the traits and the IVs of the parents and send them down to future generations, and you have a small chance to get both the same IVs and the same traits as those parents. So once you have a pal you're happy with, you can start making more of the same pal by breeding them. Today I want to talk about breeding and how you can use this to breed more effectively and just to get the traits you want and the IVs you want as well. We're going to focus mostly on traits in this video. Now, to talk about the breeding station, you first of all need to have cakes in order for the pals to breed. So like 1 cake equals 1 egg is what it seems like. So you want to have full of cake in the breeding farm all the time. And first of all, you want to make sure you have all of your breeding farms in one base. I kind of don't have that right now. We have 3 breeding farms on this base, and I have 1 base that is like hyper farming when it comes to breeding. So over here in this base, we have 10 breeding stations in 1 base. This is just like my main base, kind of. We have a breeding base as well. So you want to make sure you have a cake in every single breeding farm. Now, in order to make cake, you need to have a cooking pot or like somewhere to make food. So we have some cakes over here, and to make cakes you need to have flour, red berries, milk, egg and honey, and then you can make cake. Now, if you're wondering about how to get those, I do have a few videos on how to optimize your base to, for example, get wheat in order to make flour. You can get a bunch of wheat really fast, and you can use the new pals we have in Feybreak to make a lot more wheat than we were previously able to. So wheat should really not be a problem. I'm just gathering this wheat right now as well. Now, one cool trick is if you are farming for the farming materials to make cake like I am, you can currently store them in your guild chest and they won't spoil. So you can see the timer literally stops and pauses inside the guild chest for all types of food. I don't know if this is a bug or intentional, but either way, as of right now it works. I can't tell you if it will be fixed or when it will be fixed, but for now you can store your food here and it won't spoil. Now, when it comes to breeding, let's talk about that for a second. First of all, you don't have to manually throw your pals into the breeding farm. You can use the monitoring stand. If you haven't made this yet, it's in the pal section of building. You go to monitoring stand, you build this, requires wood and stone, and from here you can get your pals to like fix assignment management, and over here you can put your pals into the breeding farms, so you can choose which pals you want to have from your base in that breeding farm as well. And you can, for example, unassign this guy and assign somebody else. That is just an easy way to put your pals into the breeding farm, so you don't have to like manually pick them up and walk around the base with them. You can just do everything from this one right here, the monitoring stand. Now let's talk about the traits and how to get the traits you want to have on your pal. Now, the child, or like the egg you will get whenever you're breeding, it has a chance to inherit the passive skills from the parents. So from this farm right here that I'm hovering over right now, we have this male Orsurk with Workaholic and Artisan. We also have this one right here, this is a female, and this one has Workaholic and Artisan as well, but also Work, Slave and Serious. Now, the main thing you want to think about when you think about your Orsurks is that they need to have like combined, wait, why is this one showing as well? Let me just go down. We can take a look at the ones that we actually have here. This is this one and this one. So over here we have Remarkable Craftsmanship and Artisan, and we have Work, Slave plus Serious and Artisan. Now, the main thing whenever you're doing breeding is you want to have all 4 traits you want to have on the egg, you want to have on the parents. Same thing goes with these Anubis as well. For example, here we have Serious and Remarkable Craftsmanship, and over here we have Work, Slave, Artisan and Remarkable Craftsmanship. Now, if you look at these stats on the Anubis, the stats I wanted to have on the child here is Remarkable Craftsmanship, Artisan, Work, Slave, and from this guy we want to have Serious as well. All of those gives you work speed bonuses, and you don't need to think about if you have 2, because you can see here we have 2 Remarkable Craftsmanship. That doesn't matter. The main thing you want to avoid is having any additional traits than the ones you want the child to have. Now an example of that would be these two Orsurks down here, which is this guy plus this one right here, and this one has remarkable craftsmanship, work slave, serious, and workaholic, and this guy has hard skin and artisan. In this case we want to transfer artisan, remarkable craftsmanship, work slave, and serious to the child, but we also have workaholic and hard skin on these two Orsurks. That means we currently have 6 traits that the child can basically pull from instead of just 4. You want to minimize the amount of bad traits you have on these parents the best you can. I kind of just threw these Orsurks in here to show a point here. So in this case you want to try to get hard skin away because that is a bad trait. You don't want to have that trait, so get that away some way. And over here as well, workaholic, if you don't want to have that trait, don't have that trait on the parent. Going back to Anubis, we have 3 traits right here and 2 traits over here, but combined these guys have all 4 traits we want the child to have and nothing else. Now to further illustrate that point, we have this picture right here taken from the Steam forums when it comes to breeding, and I kind of just want to read through this as well, just in case it doesn't show that well on the video. So breeding and traits inheritance. For breeding there are 2 separate roles. Number 1 is the inheritance role, chance of inheriting traits from the parent, and then you have mutation role, so you're getting random traits. The way it works is inheritance role is done first, and then mutation roles if there is available trait slots left. And then we have for the inheritance the number of unique traits, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the inheritance probability. In this case, you want to try to have all 4 traits on those 2 parents combined. If you do, you should have a 10% chance to get those traits on the child as well. If both parents have 4 unique skills combined, the game will pick 1 to 4 inheritance skills out of all the possible combinations equally. For example, if you have 6 total unique skills, the probability of getting the 4 skills that you want is 1 out of 15. This means getting rid of bad traits is way harder than getting new traits that you want, and it's better to keep the pool of traits small. The common misconception is that 2 plus 2 have a higher chance than 3 plus 1 or 4 plus 0, or even 4 plus 4 and any other combinations, and that is simply not true. So the main thing is you want to have the traits you want to have on the child, you want to have on the parents combined in any combination you want. You can have 2 plus 2, 3 plus 1, 4 plus 0, as long as you have the traits you want to have in the egg on the parents and no other traits. Try to eliminate the bad traits the best you can. Another example of how I have solved this myself would be this one right here, where I'm breeding Jormuntide Ignis right now by having Blaze Howl and Jormuntides. This Jormuntide right here has the exact stats that I want to have on the child, and then this one, the Blaze Howl, simply has 1 artisan trait, which this one also has. So we're doubling down on the artisan trait, and by breeding these 2 I have a roughly 10% chance to get a Jormuntide Ignis with these exact stats. So in this case I'm doing 4 plus 0 combination. Even though we technically have artisan here, it is just a copy of the artisan we have here as well. So instead of doing 2 plus 2, in this case we're doing 4 plus 0, and it works out. Over here we're also farming Celeste Deer, where we have work slave on this guy, and we have remarkable craftsmanship, artisan, and serious on this one right here. Combined we'll get all 4 of these traits on a 10% chance on the baby, so we can get all 4 of these, and we're using the combination of 1 plus 3, not 2 plus 2 or 4 plus 0, just 1 plus 3, and it works out fine. Now I also want to go through some of the combinations that I'm personally going for on different pals, so let's start off with, for example, my Blasphemous Ryu over here, or regular Blasphemous first. So here we're doing Demon God, Serenity, Musclehead, and Legend, where you can also take away Musclehead with something else. There's way too many combinations to go for here, but let's just go with Demon God, Legend, Musclehead, and Serenity. In this case, you just want to make sure you have these 4 passive skills on your parents in some way, shape, or form. For example, parent 1 can have Demon God, and parent 2 can have Musclehead, Serenity, and Legend. Or parent 1 can have Demon God plus Musclehead, and parent 2 can have Serenity plus Legend. Any way you solve this, just make sure your parents have these 4 traits, and then you have a much better chance of getting these 4 traits on the baby as well. Now Anubis as well, I'm going for serious, remarkable craftsmanship, and artisan, and work slave. Same thing goes here. Parent 1 can, for example, have serious plus work slave, and then parent 2 can have remarkable craftsmanship and artisan, or vice versa. Any way you solve this. Now, when it comes to fighting pals, I just want to show a couple of examples here as well, where I've gotten some really good pals. For Bastigor, we have this guy right here, who has Vampiric, Legend, Demon God, and Serenity. This is basically the one that I'm planning to use to fight the end boss of Feybreak, the Xeno Lord, right? So we have Vampiric, Demon God, Legend, and Serenity. In this case, you either want to breed a pal like this, with another pal with the exact same stats, or you just want to find parents that have these stats combined. Same thing goes here. Parent 1 can, for example, have Vampiric plus Serenity, and Parent 2 can have Legend plus Demon God, or Parent 1 can only have Vampiric, and Parent 2 can have Demon God, Legend, and Serenity. As long as you have these 4 passive skills on the parents, you are good to go. Or you can also go for the Vampiric, Legend, Demon God, and Diamond Body, which is basically the same as this one, but instead of having that much attack, you're focusing way more on defense. And I haven't tried this build yet, by the way, but I have heard that Xenolord does quite a lot of damage, so a lot of people go for a build like this. But in this case, you're using 4 rainbow traits, by the way, which is quite hard to get by, but if you can get this build, it's looking like a pretty good build to go for the Xenolord fight, specifically. Now, going away from fighting pals and back to a regular farming pal, we also have this Mossarina pal, where I'm going for a Dainty Eater, Diet Lover, Runner, and Swift, and this is just to minimize the downtime of them going away from the farm or from the ranch and going back to the ranch, basically optimizing ranch uptime on these pals. So when it comes to this guy, for example, if I could just click on him, Dainty Eater reduces the hunger rate, so they get hungry 10% slower. The Diet Lover as well, 15% less hunger, Runner is 20% movement speed, and Swift is 30% movement speed. So by getting hungry less often, they will leave the ranch less to eat food, and when they go to eat food, they have 50% more movement speed to get back to the ranch even faster. So using the method of combining these passive skills, you can turn 2 mediocre pals into 1 really strong pal. Like, let's just say you have a Bastigor right now with Demon God and Serenity. That is by itself not really that insane. But then if you have another Bastigor right now with Vampiric and Legend, that is also by itself not insane. But if you combine those 2, you can get all 4 of those skills, and that is insane. So by just having the right 4 skills divided through 2 pals, you can turn them into 1 super pal. So hopefully this video right here shows you a little bit more about breeding, and it's kind of like a introduction plus a guide to breeding and talking more about sending those traits down to other pals as well. Now, the same thread that I just looked at has some IV stuff as well, but taking IVs and sending IVs down generations through breeding, it has a really small chance to get the IVs down, but if you have a perfect IV parent, the child has a chance to inherit the same IVs. So if you have any 100 IVs out there, like 100 attack or something on a pal, send that into breeding as well, and you can get more huge IV pals through breeding. Breeding really is the end game of Palworld. I think over the last week I have spent about 10 hours a day simply breeding pals. Like, I have 15 breeding stations up and going at all times, and breeding is a massive part of the end game. So hopefully this video makes the breeding process easier for you to understand, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a like down below. If you have any further tips and tricks when it comes to breeding, then leave them in the comments, and thank you for watching. I'll see you again in the next video very soon. Bye bye.